union.
Yeah, so my, he's like my brother, the director of photography, and he sits on the board. He'll
Learn how
come
to
in
do
and do it.
digital signatures.
I tell
So
you what,
where
that
is a
world is
quick
so,
entry point from that screen that
Go
you
for
showed
her,
us
well.
now, right into?
yeah, it took her a while. That's the
right
hardest thing
into-
you
I
get into.
couldn't-
It's like,
I clicked
Oh,
on it, it
yeah,
gives me
hi.
more advertising.
yeah, my law school wife was a teamster. That was
Yeah,
like,
so the
okay, so, you know,
easiest
somebody's
way
gotta drive
to
the
log
trucks
in
out there. Yeah.
Just going to car.org,
Right,
and then you'll click on this access the transaction.
yeah, I did that,
Or
but then it's
And
only
then-
to advertise.
I still gotta do my text thing for it. So when you click on here,
All those
then you have
ninja
three options,
chairs.
because before you
Right.
had more than one system. So you had Glide, which was a member benefit,
Mhm.
as well as the ZipForms,
I
which is
can't keep
by a
up
lone
with all the
wolf.
stuff they're adding.
I know.
So these are
Yeah.
all like the
Which
training.
is another reason why we have
So
to.
and line desk, but this is
Okay.
where you click to access.
keeps me panic
ZipForms
tape.
now.
Right there,
Yeah.
okay, access, okay, I did look at the yellow, you think?
Yeah, and I recommend everybody set up the two-factor authentication
Mhm.
for it. This way, no matter what, just like your bank, or no matter what, anybody can know your password unless they have it.
Mhm.
So it's an easy way to
Right.
stop anybody
It's a
from.
good idea.
Oh, yeah,
Getting
I'm gonna
it.
use this for the meeting and then I'll give you when it's outside.
And the best thing about it too is anybody here can see my password or even the code, because it changes every time.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, so it's not like I have to worry about
Oh, I see.
anybody. It's just like logging into your bank, so you're all set for it. If you haven't logged in, as of April, you have the new, just continue, it's an order process, but. it just
Yeah, I
has
haven't
you,
logged in since.
Yeah, you have to accept your, ULA pretty much on it. So, you know, you may not have as many as I do, but once you're in, this is the screen that you're gonna see. I'll load up this time. Sometimes it does. Maybe start over. It's always great with technologies. When you have to connect to the internet and use it. I wish that there was a one-way click to get into this.
Right,
ZipForms does have a mobile app. It's a little bit. It's kind of like with the MLS. It's a single login for you to get on the page. So, right, screen share. It always takes 5 to 10 seconds to get logged in. So even if you have the fastest computer, it's not your computer. It just takes a long time. So with ZipForms, just as a general overview, log in, you're going to click right on make a new transaction. So that's the plus at the top. Most of the time, we're going to be doing a new offer or a new listing. And you have a lot of these quick sign forms that you're rarely going to use. So we're going to do a new offer, since that's the majority of what people are writing for. Let me pull up a listing here and see what TRG has for sale. I think Elva had one. We can get a number for it. Does anybody have a listing? I mean, we can do it that way too.
That's funny.
You know.
I'll show you guys kind of how to use the MLS Connect. as well. Our listings on the TRG site. Let's see. So we got one in Lomita, the Scott Crawford's one. So on the listing, all you really need is the MLS number for it. And we'll click on the MLS Connect right here, property. We include photo, click find. Magically, it pulls over all of the property information, listing price, and the picture. That way it makes it really easy for you guys to just pull it into the MLS when you're writing offers. Usually it's very fast, so we'll see how it goes today.
I didn't know you can do that. Okay.
Oh, this world begins.
Yeah. Doing everything live is always fun. There it goes. It's a little slower today, so I'm gonna use the listing for it. And then I always like to just copy the property address as the actual name. It's gonna be residential. And I'm gonna add in my purchase. So we have it. Automatically, it's going to create a new folder in here with any kind of forms I may have set up. And then we're going to go to the Documents tab, and you see I just have the cover sheet set up to access everything on any of the forms. You're going to click on all forms on the right-hand side.
So in every folder, you already have that cover sheet set up.
It's automatically on there. You can set the full checklist for TRG if you want.
Oh, I can't.
I don't use ZipForms as much. I use Glide more. That has them where I document the folders. That's a little bit more advanced, but everybody uses ZipForms, so
I've never
That's what I'm
opened
gonna
Glide, I'm scared.
teach you this. I'll show you. The signature format's very similar.
So I can already put all the ones that everybody needs
Yep.
already in there.
Yeah. The other way
As
too
like a
is-
template, basically.
yeah, it only takes probably about 5 minutes for you to go down our checklist and just add them to it, so.
So they're already there, because I'm always looking like, what do I need now?
Yeah.
What do I need? now? What do I need now?
Agreement,
Oh, I'm sitting, there, gosh, why didn't I know that before?
it was dated today. So his. I'll do Bob Buyer,
Oh, I'm gonna do that today.
and Sam Seller. So once you have a form like this, it's really easy once you're logged in. So I'm just doing the addendum. It's one page. We'll do the RPA so you guys can see how to do it for more than one signature. But really, it's adding the form in, and the e-sign at the top. It's automatically going to create whatever that form is. So I just leave it as that, so I know what it is. If you're doing like the RPA though, you may want to name it the transaction. This is also what the client's going to see. If you forgot to add a document or you received a form from the other brokerage that's either the affiliated business or like it's an escrow amendment or something that needs to be e-signed also, you guys can actually click on the add additional documents and it'll pull it from here or from any external drive. So here's
That's
where
my
you can
issue.
get actually integrated with your Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, OneDrive, your Microsoft. So if you have anything saved essentially in the cloud, that form will be pulled right into ZipForms automatically. And then after I do the signature, I'll show you too, you can also email docs right into it as well. So that makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to get stuff signed. Today, we're just gonna do just e-signatures, but I want to show you how to get the forms in there because you can't sign
Please.
something if you can't
Please.
get it into there.
That's why I don't use it,
Alright.
because I don't know, or to label them.
So I'll hit next. So now you have automatically everything pulled out from your template or anything you set up. So obviously we want just the buyer to sign because that's who we're representing. We gotta put in his email.
Danny, can you put signature blanks at the, with the external documents? Because I've tried that and she showed me how to do it on her paid service, but I don't know how to do it on this. Are we able to do
Yeah, you can
that?
drag and drop signatures anywhere.
To any document
Any document.
externally?
Yep.
from-
Yeah.
Okay,
It doesn't have to be real estate related. It could be anything that you're using it for.
see that, I need to see that.
So once you're logged in, you can see automatically you have that form set up for them. Now, a lot of times, sometimes you have different entities signing it. So I'll do this just the first time and then we'll refresh it again. Because there's two different ways to do it. So let's say that this property is being signed by Bob Buyer, but Bob Buyer is the trustee for it. So right now, the signature default is just gonna say Bob Buyer signed this. If I change it right now, I can add in anything I want to that signature line, and now it changes the name to it. So the document still shows the name, that's what pulled from
Well, they
ZipForms.
trust you.
So let's say the actual buyer now of this is the Fredericks Family Trust. Obviously, the Fredericks Family Trust is buying it, but Daniel Fredericks, trustee, is the actual person submitting all the documentation, doing the actual purchase for it. So that's where I need to change that name. So this is the quick way to do it without having to go through representative capacity and doing all these other forms in it. You can just change it right here. You have to do it every single time though, but it makes it really easy. You just click edit the name and it'll display that way.
Dang it.
On the client side though, some people will actually use their finger or their stylus and draw out a signature. but 99% of the time, they just click the template that
Yes.
looks like a cursive signature,
Yes.
Right.
and it says whatever you put in there.
Yeah.
So if you put in the Fredericks Family Trust as the buyer, that's what it's gonna display there.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
it's
what it
not
did.
incorrect, it just doesn't look like somebody actually signed that, because anybody could just sign Fredericks Family Trust, but if it says Daniel Fredericks trustee, then it makes it very easy to understand that that person signed in the correct spot, and it's not just a bunch of Fredericks Family Trusts that are signing for it. We'll click next.
But of course, we have the, the representative capacity, you could just do it with the name.
Yeah. Let's see if this one's still showing.
Because that's really, the way you have it here, you need to have that.
Yeah.
for everybody.
So once it pops out into a new window here, you can see it automatically places any kind of signature boxes on ZipForms that you created. So if you brought in a PDF though, it will not have those auto-populated boxes. So that's where you'll have to add your own for it. So this is where you click on the drag and drop on the top right here. And let's say this page you had to initial. So for me to initial, I would bring down the initial box. And then I can also bring on the date for it. You can see that since I created this form, that first line already has filed by our trustee and the date because there's a date box for it. But if I forgot somebody or it was a document that somebody else created, I have to individually drop in each signature. Now this is a little bit more tedious. This is why everybody prefers having a transaction coordinator, because when you get to 50 pages, it could probably take you 30 minutes to drag and drop the signatures on there when you can pay somebody a flat fee to do this multiple times for you. So the idea is for you guys to learn how to initiate the contracts and then just get a TC, because it's easier and it's, less time consuming, unless you know how to do it. I mean, I've seen people where they'll spend 2 hours dragging documents stuff because escrow documents are 20 pages. I mean, you got all the disclosures that are another 50 pages. And then after the end, you gotta print them all out and put them together. So this is just to get any short stuff that you guys need to do, as in getting the offer accepted and maybe an addendum or something signed by escrow. But we'll try and use the TC as much as possible for it. So I'll leave these on here for it. If you need to add any text boxes, let's see where we go. There we go. You can fill in any information. So let's say I forgot to add this last person's name. So we'll make it Betty Buyer. Another trick here. Let's see if I can see.
If Dan and all his tricks.
No.
Change
What you do
signer?
on this one, I need you to do it in a markup now. That changed it. The markup under text is where you'll add the, I can drop it again. Let me put. Well, there it goes. Like, why was it not letting you do it? Here you can actually write in to Betty Buyer. So this would be anywhere like on the last page of the purchase agreement. If you had to put in a license number or your phone number wasn't there, or the other agent wrote off the offer, at the time, a lot of those fields are empty and escrow is gonna need it filled out completely. So the idea is for you not to have to print this out, fill in the information by hand, rescan it again, and then electronically sign it. You can actually edit everything in here as if this is your Adobe software. So Adobe Acrobat lets you do all this, but in
That's a big
ZipForms
thing.
now, you can do this. You can add check boxes under the drag and drop too. So if they need to check a box, let's say on the side here, you can actually choose whether it's going to be marked or not. If you want a radio button, you can do that as well. You can see that all of these are, either checked or not, and you can change the signers for them. So-
Is there default, is it defaulted or something?
Yeah, so the radio buttons, all these will be empty for it, so they'll have to actually check the box
Okay.
for it. So what I recommend for the last page on the previous purchase agreement, you had to check the box for the counter. That checkbox is no longer there because there are so many errors with it, but you still need to put a date there that's corresponding to that. So that's where you choose this text box and you populate it over to that side and you type in this subject to the counter offer attached, and then whatever date that is, because it could be 3 days after the offer was written, 5 days, the day of. That'll
Where'd
be
you get
dates.
how did you activate the choices where it says like sign here and stuff, the yellow boxes?
So this one's defaulted automatically.
But the
Drag and
cute
drop,
little
drag and
stickers.
drop.
Yeah, so the
maybe.
drag and drop on the
Okay.
side.
Yeah, so drag and drop and then it, okay.
Yep, and then our markup here is you can actually
Okay,
draw a
that's it.
line, so if you needed to. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't allow you to do it. Oh, it's just because it's a zip form. If it was a blank PDF, we'll do one, that way you guys can see it. I think the highlighting you can do too, so if you needed to like highlight something.
Oh, it's not letting you like customize.
Yeah, because it already has
Okay.
the signature lines for it, but I know on some escrow documents you'll get,
Well, yeah.
they already have a stamp there. So this would be where you'd add a signature box for it as well. You can kind of mark up the PDF however you want, and then clicking next here. So the default on it is, I think, just the Authentisign 2, which I think is the only one out now. But you guys can also customize the emails however you want. I recommend doing this and maybe putting in the address, please sign, because depending on it, they've worked with other agents before and using this free software, they may not see that email or more go to their spam or junk, or if it's Gmail, it might be in their promotions or updates, and they never see it in their primary for it. So do something they're gonna catch, big bold letters saying, please sign, whatever it is, they get to see it. So you can do, please sign.
And return.
Offer for, we'll need,
But Danny, can we also use the cover page to put every person that's gonna sign? You could use
you
the cover
can,
page.
yeah,
right?
but the parties tab does that as well.
Oh,
So we'll send that one off for signature so you can see.
There are other parties that will send the email to.
Yeah.
So you just click the box with those two.
Let me go back to this one here. So let me go back to our form.
Is DocuSign pretty close now?
It's very, very similar, yeah, to it.
I think DocuSign is hard to use.
All right. So
compared
now
to
if we
that
go back to our transactions, so you guys can see, we go back to the main page. So as soon as you log back in, let's say this could be the day after, you can actually see all of the transactions that are going on here on the left-hand side. So we view all e-signings, takes you right in there. So now you can see your envelope packet here. You can see it's in progress. So this means that they haven't signed it. So chances are, like got lost in their spam, you can't find it. You're gonna click on that envelope. It's gonna open it up and it's gonna say pending. If it says authenticated, that means they actually logged in and then they had an error trying to sign it. So at least you're halfway to the problem if they can't sign it, but this way, they haven't received it at all. The easiest way to fix that is you'll click over here on this little envelope where it says resend invite. Automatically it sends it again to them. So the best is if they haven't got the signature from you, call them on the phone and do this at the exact same time. That way it'll be at the top of their inbox. Because if I've seen any of my clients' inboxes, they have 50,000 unread emails. This is sitting at the
That's me
top.
right now.
And if you just keep resending it, eventually it'll get to them. If you have any errors with it, which happens sometimes, is let's say they misspelled, like on mine, gaining TRG real estate, it was gaining TR real estate. I click on the pin here on the side and I can actually edit it now for the email address. If you mistyped it or, double type a letter, you can always correct that, click save, and then resend it again. And that way you don't have to redo all of those signature drops that you did before because you spent 30 minutes doing it. So that's an easy way. You can also add documents in if you wanted to pause the transaction and then restart it again because you forgot to get something signed. Otherwise, you can just start a new transaction for it. For the details here, you can see when everybody logs in. This is why I'm a huge supporter of having e-signatures because to me, it's better than having them sign in person because there's actually a timestamp and it's linked to their email. Now, obviously, any family members, friends, if you guys want to go sign one of my documents, you can walk into my office right now, open up my computer and sign it for it. But when it comes down to when they actually signed it, if there's a document signed at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can tell you I did not sign that. If it was signed at noon today, chances are I signed that document for everybody. So it makes it easier to have a little bit more transparency on it rather than people just signing stuff and not knowing it. And at the end, you get a copy of that signature back. So it makes it easy as for us for real estate law, get copies to all of our clients. Now, obviously, they never look at them, but you can always send them a copy later on or print it out for them. That way you have it. So there's always an audit trail that's available. So we'll go back and do another one so you guys can see, and we'll add an external document. Let's see what I can find. We got inspection. Let's see. To notice the buyer to perform. This one's just a random PDF. You can see at the top, it already has the default signature packet. So I just changed it to notice to buyer to perform. One. Next. While me and the agent sign. Same thing. So this is going to be the trustee. Just going to change it. Save. Let's say online. That's defaulted to Daniel. We're just going to change it to Danny. You can see how easy it is to correct any kind of name changes. This is how it's going to display when they actually sign. Let's see what this PDF looks like. Lost that one. So this one already had the person signing it. So, but we're going to add in me. So you see the top here, we have the two different trustees that are signing it. So we have Bob. I'll pull his down and he's going to sign. And click on the little date stamp here, pull it down for it. And then for me, as the agent, we're just going to do an initial. Let's just do initial at the bottom for it. And then I can do the customized invitations. You can see now I have two parties. I can edit them however I want. So this will be for the buyer. That's the form. Let's put this one as property.
Well, that's a customer. Could you send the same email to both?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. If you just do just to send invitations, it's just the generic, click here to access your documents, here to sign, just like you would for any e-signing
And what was
product.
that little different one?
Just customize email and then you can change the subject.
Gotcha.
Usually I do it to keep the property address all the time because if you're familiar kind of like with Gmail, it'll sort and stack stuff based on the same
Of the conversation.
wherever that subject is,
Oh,
and that way
no.
if you keep saying it, I mean, I was trying to keep mine consistent, so it's always the property address dash and then whatever the form is. And that way, when I'm looking through my email, at least the client will know that it's always from me when I'm referencing the property. Kind of like when escrow will ever send stuff, it'll always be like the escrow number for it. And then when you're dealing with a lender, they usually have whatever their lender or the client's like document is for it, or a
So I-
title order.
So I have a question. If somebody just sent you a PDF or whatever, let's just say it wasn't related to this, could you then just open it up and use that sign and sign it and send it back? to them?
That's what I try to do when I just panic, I guess. Yeah.
And over the years, I mean, they've had different types of signing. They've had the type of signing where you can sign on your phone. But realistically now, since everybody's pretty tech savvy, is I could be at a property with my clients and already have a draft of the RPA, and I could send it to them right there at the property and have them sign on their phones by just clicking the buttons and going through it on their mobile phone. So it kind of goes back to, 20 years ago where you'd sign on the hood of the car
Yeah,
and
that's
actually
me.
have the carbon paper. Now it's all done electronically. So as long as they have cell service, everybody can sign. There was a couple apps that did it where you could sign in person, but that would require the agent, to have a bigger screen, a tablet of some sort, and actually signing. To me, it's very easy to do through email, where they can do it. And that way, even if they have issues with it, it's very easy. As long as they log in one time and create an account, after that, it's the fastest way to sign any documents.
No, the hood
Or-
of the car is.
So you can see that this one already started. See if I can go back so you guys can see. Go back to our dashboard. Transactions. So back on the Lomita one. Now you can see that now I have 2 over here listed for it. So if you do all of them, you can see they're all in progress. Still nobody's signed it. You go in the notes per form. See now I have 2 different people for it. So same thing, I can edit them. I can delete signers or I can just reset it. So let's say that client didn't get it again. So resend it again. So that way they have more. Share. See it. Should be a bunch of stuff there signed, waiting for me to sign.
So Danny.
Yep.
So you know, how, like I got all those offers or whatever on Baltic.
Yep.
And they all send to me through email. How do I put them into that folder? I just.
Yeah, well, I can show you that right now. So
I
under
just move them,
your,
because like I still have them sitting in my email. I'm like, how do I move them to that?
Baltic?
yeah, let me do it and
What's
then
that?
share, because I think
Yeah.
everybody will probably.
Oh, I
want
thought it was
to-
another freaking, like, oh.
No, but I was like, because I just haven't, I go, I don't know how to move them. So my folder looks
So
a hot
going
mess.
to the summary here, so on every transaction, you guys all have a way to add any documents in it. So this is essentially unlimited storage. So there's no reason for every time you get anything, you'll save this.
And it's in the cloud.
Scan it here, I can show you guys how to take a picture if you have an iPhone.
Let's get the cover that camera sorted.
All right, I think it's recording now. So we'll double check. All right, so when you're on here now, if you click on that email to transaction, there you go. So here's your long digit code here. Here at contact or just compose an email for it. Anytime I send an email to this, it'll actually pull in any attachments into your transaction. So it's great if you get any kind of response from a TC or escrow, you just forward it right in. And it takes you don't have to go in there and search for that document. You can just add it right in.
Turn up. I need to go.
And I think it's Zoom. I don't think it's our internet. Let's see. Another neat thing that people don't really know about. I think it's under documents.
So that's where you're gonna put the templates in there.
Yeah. So they all automatically get pulled in.
So I could pretty much take that checklist and put all those in there.
Yep. So under our send feature, see they remove it. Let's see. Oh no, it's still there. All right. So we'll go back. So on the top here, you have pretty much a send any PDFs. The nice thing that's about this is you can integrate your email client that you use, whether it's Gmail or ZipForms. So if the client has worked with an agent before, sending it through ZipForms, they may not get those clients, just like the MLS listing, stuff like that. They unsubscribe or mark it as spam, they're not going to get it. But you can actually click on via email and you can choose your own email provider to send it through. So on mine, I already have my Gmail linked to it, so that way it'll come right from danny@dannyfredericks.com. If I want to change it though, I can send it right through ZipForms. So you can send it multiple times for it. The other feature that a lot of people don't know about is you can actually fax right here from ZipForms. So there's no reason for you guys to come to the office to fax something. There's no reason for you guys to scan something and then to fax it. Anything that you have as a PDF, you can fax and you get a confirmation for it. You can also use a cover sheet. So if you're dealing with somebody that has to fax documents in, they can fax right to the number on ZipForms and it goes right into your transaction. So there's no reason for anybody to ever have a fax line or to even use a fax, but I know some clients do. That's how they communicate. My first transaction that I did on a condo, he worked at a bank. He did nothing via email. Everything was all via fax for it. And he was only in his 30s, but he just preferred doing it all via fax. So I would fax it to him, he'd fax it back, but I never had to print out anything because it went right into ZipForms.
Wow.
So that's another way for you guys to save time going back and forth to an office.
Cute.
All the fax cover sheets have like a barcode on the top. I don't know if you've ever dealt with like banks or the IRS or anything like that. They always have some sort of tracking thing
Yeah,
at the
the post
top.
office.
Same thing. So as soon as that's scanned through, it goes right into the correct spot for it. I can go through the signing. Let's see if I've got any emails. There we go. So this is the one this is what all your messages are going to look like. So you can see, thanks for signing, click here to start. So since this one is done by me, I don't have to log in or create anything. It should just automatically populate you into the system. And you have to agree that you're gonna sign. Well, not even that, because I'm already signed, but there. So on the signing part, all I do is click sign. If it's the last thing, you're gonna have review or complete signing. So I'm just gonna complete it. And then I'm done. The next page, I believe you can download and view, or you can have it on the actual person for it. Let's go back to clients. So you guys can see what they look like. Real fast. Cheat wave, getting emails to come in faster.
He has a cheat way for everything.
Yeah. There we go. We signed it. So you can see the TRG email takes a little bit longer to come in. So this is who sent it. Hello, Bob and Buyer. So this is another reason why you guys can use one email still for like a whole family to sign. So let's say the husband and wife are retired and they just use one Gmail or one Yahoo account for it, which happens all the time, or could even be an AOL account. But at the
Hey,
top,
watch it.
at the top of all of them,
Or direct
when
wire.
people sign, you're gonna see though, it's acknowledged signing for it. So even though, or it could be one person signing, we've done lots of transactions where it could be the kids signing for it, at least they're acknowledging it. But at the top here, it's stating who is actually signing for that document. So it should be the correct person signing, but obviously it's usually one person with the person signing around the computer with them or on their phone. So same thing, we'll click on the start signing. This one is probably gonna ask me to sign in since it's, oh, no, it actually works the link this time. So it made it even easier. So you guys can see, so this is the automatically populated signature. So you can see I didn't change anything on the default. So this is that cursive. All the other ones are signed since I was signed by the person before. But now I have these buttons on the side. These are those radio buttons. So you guys can see they can actually click on all of those. So these are red. So they're going to be mandatory for everybody to finish. And they click next. They won't be able to keep moving on until they actually sign and check all of them.
So they have a box to fill in, they'll have to fill
They
in.
had to fill it in before they continue on, because they'll keep taking you through each one. I think it's like double up on. Let's see. Yeah, we may not be able to finish this transaction since I did that. I thought them too close together. So there you go. Good signing. And then on this one, they may have to log in. Yeah, so I already made up a bunch of, so I can create an account, they can sign in however they want. This is how they'll literally receive their documents, but on us, for clients, we'll get a copy of it emailed to us. But to make it easier, it should be in our ZipForms transaction right now. So let's see if it'll actually
Now,
refresh.
what kind of, when they sign into that or DocuSign, they also have to sign into DocuSign if they have DocuSign?
Yeah, so on your settings, so you guys can see how to set up for those. At the top here, you guys can see this is where it says like my profile for it. You click on the profile and settings. And I believe it's under e-signature. Let's see. Yeah, so our settings at the top. You see right now that it says what your time is. So if you had DocuSign and not the free version digitally, you would just click on DocuSign,
Right.
and you can link your account right now by putting in your email and your password. And that way everything is done through this system, but still using DocuSign as the signer.
Right, no, right. So when they get the email, will they just be able to sign it? They don't have to create it?
You don't have to create an account. Usually it's a unique, usually link. But if they want to go back and view the documents, they have to create an account for it. But they do get an email to them after they sign. That way they have a copy.
Right.
So everybody should have this set as their
Right,
default.
right, and they would, right, so depending on, they get a copy of, will they get a copy, a final copy of, what's their signatures, will they get a copy of, if there's others on there?
Correct, yeah,
They'll get a final copy.
Yep.
for Everybody.
Everything.
From everybody.
Yep.
So Danny, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have a DocuSign account, but I have it where you can only send a certain amount of documents or whatever.
uh-huh.
But since I'm a member, because I had to send some stuff out to sign for other stuff, not real estate thing, am I able
You use
to
this.
then use this
this-
because I'm already a member and I pay for it? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be real estate related.
No,
I'm already a
I
member.
mean, it
so-
does kind of void the.
Well, no, I know,
the
but I'm,
terms of use, but as a US, you use this to sign in it. And I recommend, even before you guys get into the transaction with it, is start writing offers with every family and friend you know, because the more you do it.
yeah, like I
easier
have a
to
couple
practice.
contracts that I sent out and it's, DocuSign seems harder to use than that. That's why I'm asking, like, I'd rather put all those contracts in one folder. and-
Yeah, the only thing that's difficult though with this is DocuSign, a little bit easier to use on like a mobile phone or smaller. This you have to use on a computer. I mean, or a tablet that's at least,
But I'm just saying,
12
if
inches or so, that way you.
I could switch to DocuSign and then
Yeah,
just
and-
create a folder just for that DocuSign contract.
Correct. And I would
And then
recommend
send it out and
using-
practice with it,
using
right?
the free version. I mean, they weren't as great when they first came out, and they've gone through enough revisions now that both Glide and that are about the same. So I'll show you guys the Glide version. so
Well,
you
no, because
guys
then I
can-
can get rid, because every time I can only send like 5 out and then I have to wait and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
it
think
it takes a
DocuSign is
while.
difficult.
Yeah, see, hers seemed easier, but now, but we have to see once I try it.
So Glide, when you first log in, you can see it looks a little bit similar to it. So we're gonna do the same thing, new transaction. All right, we're already gonna pick who it is. So I've already done enough transactions that it already knows who I am. So you guys want to create it here. I just have the regular CRMLS member, so this is just a free, there's no added features to it. Click continue. More of a survey style. I don't know if you guys have ever used Glide before, but it's kind of like it just keeps asking you questions. So eventually everything's gonna be correct. So rather than signature tab before where it said you had to pick one of these, it's asking you now, what is it? It's like, oh no, we're gonna purchase a property. Is it under contract? Are they searching? We're like, no, this is under contract. So we're gonna go through all these forms where it already has the address, so I can remember
Oh, so you like
that one. It's just
Oh, that's.
more
yeah,
intuitive and easier to go through.
And do you just go into it like in our MLS homepage where it has all the icons like when we first log in?
No, you have to just go to glide.com for it.
Oh,
Yep.
directly.
oh, maybe I'm
Because-
thinking of Lion's Desk. Maybe that's, where's the one that we would do the CMAs? Is that Glide or,
That was Cloud CMA.
oh, so
Or-
that's just, okay,
Yeah,
but this
so it
is.
It used to be free through CAR, but now
Oh.
it's free through CRMLS. So if we move to CRMLS subscriber, that's how you get access to it. So here's our property again. Copy the address, so we have it. The same, so you guys can know.
Yeah, it's already sold.
So is it in this one?
I can do the
No,
search
that's
MLS
already-
also too, so it's the same idea, so I'm gonna do CRMLS, but I didn't know the address. I just need that MLS number. Which is the South Bay person, as well as an SB. And it'll actually find the listing for me. So I can either type in the address or find it, so you can see here, it's already got the same information, just MLS connectors,
Nice.
click continue.
So you go through CRMLS to get into Glide, right?
Just glide.com and then you register as a cinema subscriber and you get, it's like a freemium, so you get almost 80% of the product for free. for it.
And then, so as car, which is our annual fee.
Yep.
That's some like the signing and all that, but this is as long as we're on MLS. And is it just like, I don't pay my MLS until I'm about to use it. So we would just keep all that stuff and then once I get lit back up, I can access.
I don't
it
know if it
again.
actually would get removed because
Because
if
none of my
you were a
other stuff
subscriber
does.
before,
Yeah, when I
this
took that
account
time
stays
off.
forever. So as
Yeah,
long as you're a subscriber at the time you sign up.
yeah, because I was off MLS
have
for
access
a
to
while
it.
and everything just was the same, so.
Okay.
So same thing, that's kind of to summarize everything down, so it's already got all the information pulled in here, so I put in mine, you see, I can invite that client to view everything if I want. There's the property information, so all this is all automatically done for me, all I did was add in the party for it. So I'm gonna click continue. Just to see. And then you get to this fancier dashboard, it's not quite as nice, but on the side here, you got the same thing, documents. And it kind of sorts everything based on property documents for you. You know, it's kind of like how Gmail will automatically sort everything you want for it. So we're just going to add a new document. So we're going to choose from a library. So this is a newer feature. So now all of the Sierra forms are also in Glide. This wasn't like this 2 years ago, but now it is. So same thing, we're going to add in an addendum for it. Like add document. You can see it goes down to the buyer's documents rather than the property documents.
It already knows where to put it.
Yep. Addendum shows up here. So I think I need to do the number for it.
So wait, doing, had a transaction going right now?
Well, I just created the transaction.
Okay.
So you see like, this is all in 5 minutes. Everything's
Yeah.
all created, filled out
From
for it.
scratch.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything for it. We'll do price to be, let's do 1 million. I think you had it listed for 900,000. Let's save. Yeah, it's here on the right hand side, click sign. Yeah, same option. So you have your DocuSign if you want to pay for it. Otherwise, you use Glide signatures, which is free. Click continue. See, they have the 2 people that are signing for it. If I want to set the order, same thing, I can make one person sign me for the other. If not, it's easier just default, I'll sign in person.
Real quick, Danny, what are the other options besides need to sign? You'd have to go back, but I just saw that there was an arrow, like a drop down. What were the other?
Oh, you want to add another document to it, so just like the previous one
Okay.
before. So same thing, so here you have a little bit more features and a little bit easier to see everything. So you got your signature, your initials, date sign. So they kind of copied the DocuSign layout on this as opposed to the digital one where you have that markup all on the top right hand side. So to me, if you're used to using DocuSign, you'll really like using the Glide signatures, and it's free for it. So if they need a sign, and then you can see it's already populated in there because I didn't represent the buyer. It knows that I need this form, it's done. I need the agent to sign.
So I can use Glide too instead.
I know, I'm kind
Yeah.
of getting
I know.
stoked on Glide.
Cause
I mean, I have to pay my bill,
I
but
can't stand DocuSign. I'm like,
because I'm doing everything over now, so.
So online, so say I wanted to sign, same thing, I'll pull the date over,
It's making me want to be done.
The
I'm
date.
putting all this stuff in my folder.
Well, especially because she and I are in
continue,
an
same
acquisition
thing,
frenzy.
get your reviews. We want to hear and just. And send.
So what is the 20% that we don't get on Glide? You said
Uh,
80%.
Auto population for the signature boxes,
Oh.
if you pay for it, if it finds anywhere it says, please sign, it'll put a sign box there for you. So kind of automates
Also
that.
with Glide, you have to manually put it
Put it
in.
in grid, so just like the zip form.
Yeah.
So automatically marks it. So if I want to sign now for mine, since it already knows I'm the agent,
Well,
I can click in and sign.
And digital ink isn't automatically there once you have the people on the.
If you create the audio population for it will be for a form that comes from somebody else. So if it's a zip form made by you as a listing agent sending it to me, we all know that at the bottom, there's going to be a signature line for both parties and probably an initial. That document, we have to put those boxes in. Glide knows that those boxes need to go there and it does it for you. So that's part of the paid features for it.
I'm trying to remember, DocuSign typically does that. too.
DocuSign might have that feature also. I know there's a lot of new,
In other words, it always matters because the signature.
like
and the
machine
date.
learning now, AI that'll know where the boxes need
Puts the
to go.
signature and the date required, right?
Well, if you
Yeah,
create
that's
it,
just
Yeah,
so if you're creating the form yourself, yeah. But if you're receiving a PDF for somebody else,
All right.
then it doesn't know. But part of the paid features now, they all know, they say, it says, please sign here and it has your name. The computer now is smart enough to be like, hey, there needs to be a signature box there, rather than you having to drag and drop it for it.
Smart.
And Yeah,
Is it any difference when the, say, the buyer, when we use a Glide to create a document, right?
uh-huh.
And when the buyer receives this, is it different between these, the format, compared with the zip form?
The view of the form looks a little different once you print it out, but other than that, it's identical.
Okay, so the buyer could sign on the mobile phone or whatever, right?
Correct, same thing, just
This-
like I'm doing
Is
here.
it look little bit different between the zip form and the Glide?
Yeah, the Glide one is a little bit more advanced, so it's gonna be
Okay.
easier for them to see. It's meant for like a mobile phone as
Okay,
opposed to the CAR version, which is free. You know, it's a little bit older software, so it's gonna be a little bit harder, you know, depending on the size of your
so
screen.
does the buyer need to download this?
No apps, everything is all done. They're just clicking a link and it opens up in their
Okay.
browser.
All right,
So if they're on an Android phone, it would be Google Chrome. If they're on a Apple phone, Safari. So that
So-
mobile version
So
works.
really, you could set up all your templates on Glide and ZipForms and
You use
whatever,
both, yeah,
and do the folders stay separate?
Yeah.
They don't go to one or the other.
telling back and forth. So, on the
So
side
you should
here,
pick one was that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
well, Glide, I mean, they're the newest thing, you know, like, I mean, it's little stuff like this, like, I wanted to log in and download it, I don't have to, I can just click the arrow here. And I just downloaded that paper that I signed. Yeah, it's the newer software, so
Right.
it knows before you, that way you're not going back and forth, it figures like, hey, someone's gonna want that option to download it, rather than having to log in again to access it.
I have a question, Danny.
Yeah.
The buyer or seller, use check boxes on some of the disclosures.
Yeah, so that's where Glide
nice.
came out first, and so it's the TDS,
Mhm.
SPQ, and the AVID.
Mm.
All those can be turned into a survey of like format. If anybody's ever gotten like
A survey monkey?
like a feedback, yeah, Survey Monkey, or you know, someone's asking for a review on feedback, and it's like, oh, this. So on the TDS, it goes like, hey, do you have a garage? And if you click yes, the next answer is it detached or attached? If you click no, it's not gonna ask you if it's detached or not because it knows it's not there.
Uh-huh, I
On
forgot to
ZipForms,
mention
when
that,
you
but
do
it's
it,
too new.
They have to click each box individually,
Right.
and all I know is when I've dealt with ZipForms is half the time, half those boxes aren't checked. And I have to meet with them in person, they have to go back and check it and then reinitial, because
And then
they
they
don't
get
understand that I'm
jealous,
asking them
and-
for all these, they're just signing documents because that's what I
Oh,
think they have to do. They're not checking all the boxes.
But
When,
Glide
you know,
will,
well, Glide asks it in a survey, so it's only going, so it asks you
And it's like
everything in a
big and
format
clean, and,
first.
yeah,
Once all the questions are answered, then
Then
it
it
populates
takes you-
the zip forms for you and then you sign.
oh.
As opposed to having the form that you have to check all the boxes and then sign. So it makes it a
I
little
know, I
bit
knew
easier.
you were talking
to
about
go
that,
through.
yeah.
Today, that's what I'm doing.
And we'll do like an advanced, like zip forms class, because the e-signature is like the first part, but getting to know everything first, you guys should work on e-signatures. I said, anybody, pick someone in the office,
Yeah.
just send stuff. If you want stuff to Lisa, myself, my dad, you guys have our email addresses, we'll sign it.
Just Craig
Yeah.
signing.
Whatever it is you need us to sign, we'll do it, you know, that way you guys can practice and see how they get sent out to
So I have
everybody.
a question. Do you prefer Glide over, you know?
All I use is
Yeah,
Glide now
exactly.
for it.
See, that's what I
Just
would do.
because
Just want
it's
to try to have one
easier,
reliable,
yeah,
at least for.
but there are a
Okta.
lot of neat features
and
with
for
zip forms if
that
you ever use it,
stuff,
like
I
emailing
think
it in the
so.
transaction. Glide
So
does
we
have
don't
an
do it
app,
on paper.
though, so it makes it a little bit easier. I don't know. The lone wolf zip forms is gonna be around probably for at least 3 years. Glide, I would think also, but you know, they're all private companies, so it could change. Lone wolf and zip forms has been around since it was WinForms. That when it
That's
was
what I
a software
remember,
that you
wind
installed.
forms, the
So
disc.
it really hasn't changed, it just changed ownership, so the software essentially is the same thing, it's just getting a little bit better. And Glide just started off better because it was the new product for it.
Do they sell the duplicates anymore? I have to look next time I go see Mickey. I don't even have them on. It's
No.
nothing.
Yeah,
Sure brokers appreciate that because they always had to have them on hand.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
That's really all I got for you guys to go
Thank
through
you.
on it. I mean,
Okay,
practice
thank you.
code, so
We're not-
go to glide.com, log in with your CRMLS credentials, and that way you'll get the free account, or so you get 90% of all of the free bells and whistles for it, and even with the surveys and all that to the clients.
Now, what you did with Glide, though, it's in terms of the documentation in reference to zip forms, you have it all signed, digitally.
Yep,
Does it, but in terms of keeping track and organization and for archiving, does Glide know to send it over to zip forms?
no, they're completely separate for it.
So it's separate. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to bring over those.
Correct.
So we manually bring it over, but it still completes it for
Yeah,
us
but like
in that
the
form.
zip forms with Lone Wolf, they keep everything in there for 5 years. So if you just stop logging into that one transaction, the timer starts counting down. So if you constantly open up a transaction over and over again, it'll never get deleted. But after 5 years, I mean, they're just now starting to delete some of the stuff that I've been licensed for 11 years using zip forms. So
In other words, I hadn't bothered to delete, take.
yeah, so like, and I never had to go back and use any of those.
Right.
For the past, so, 5 years is plenty of time for access running, and
Yeah.
Glide, I'm sure has the same status on it.
I think, I submitted
Yeah.
an offer through Glide
He,
and,
Oh,
I
yeah,
basically
And
have
then-
all the